Tim Pancakes.
Hello everybody, Tim Pancakes here, and Happy New Year! It is January 3rd, and this is my first video in 2021. This is a build that I completed about a week ago or so, probably the week of Christmas, and it's something that I've been wanting to build for a long time, and that is a split-level family home. This is inspired off of that style of a house where you walk in and from the main entrance you can either climb some stairs to the main level or descend some stairs to the ground floor or the first floor or the basement. And I've been in many houses in my life that were styled like this. So this particular build is loosely based on my grandmother's house growing up, but I have dated a couple of guys who had homes like this. My aunt has a house or had a house like this growing up, and they all had slightly different floor plans. So this floor plan kind of borrows from all of them, but with the new platform feature, I felt like we could finally build a true split-level home, and I really wanted to take a stab at it. So I'm really happy with how this came together, and it took me forever to get it to work. I had been messing with the platforms a little bit. I built a graveyard recently, which I'm going to do a tour video of once it's ready. I didn't do a speed build of that because I really just wasn't quite sure how it was going to go, and I didn't want to have hours and hours of footage of me just, messing around, I guess. But anyway, I used platforms a little bit in the graveyard, and then I haven't really played with them too much, and so doing this build, it took me a long time to kind of get the hang of how the platforms work, and I kept raising one room, and then other rooms would raise or descend, and it was kind of a pain. So I cut out a lot of it, at least I thought I had. In a moment here, I think I'm gonna, you can see how one room stays up, but the others go down, and it was a bit of a struggle for me to figure out, and then having to get the stairs to work and everything. It was a learning experience. So in a moment, I'm pretty sure I cut to the end of all of that. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm in the kitchen. So I've gone through and I've put down some floors, and now I'm adding some wallpaper throughout. That's kind of my building MO. I like to get the shell ready where I do the whole exterior, maybe not like the landscaping or the yard, but at least the building. And then I go inside and I lay down all the floors and I do all the walls, which is, realistic to what a real house would be like. You don't necessarily build every room start to finish, from floors to walls to furnishings, one room at a time in real life. So I think that's kind of why I do this. I've also discovered that usually when I'm building a house, I tend to build it room by room in terms of the floor plan. So, I don't just draw a big box and then try to fit rooms in the box. I strategically design the box by room. So like, okay, this room is going to be 4 tiles wide, and then off of this room is the bathroom, so that'll be an additional 3 tiles. And so it's kind of like I'm tracing a floor plan or blueprint, I guess. And that's how I've always built in The Sims 1 and 2. I don't think I ever built in The Sims 3, and then now in The Sims 4. And I watched other speed builds, and it's so foreign to me to see these other builders just draw a big box and then turn it into a house and have to come up with the floor plan. And I'm like, I go into the build usually with a floor plan. It's interesting to see how people have different, I guess, building styles. But so here I decided to start with the kitchen. It has that a pass-through window into the dining room, and then I do have that little back door, which right now just goes to nothing, but eventually at the end of the video I'm going to put up a tall back porch, which I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not super appealing to the eye. It was a challenge, again, with the platforms and everything, but I made it work, and I'll talk more about that when we get there. So anyway, Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know I had a hard time with the stairs too because I think the railings weren't really working for me or something. Oh, you know what it was? It was I had to put half walls down instead of railings because with the platforms, the railings weren't tall enough. So right there, you can see at the top of the stairs, I used a wall, and I really wanted to use a railing, but oh well. And so the kitchen I kind of felt was dated. I mean, this style of a house, this split level style, is a pretty dated concept. I mean, I don't know that they build too many new builds like this. The house that my grandmother lived in, which this floor plan is probably the most similar to, is I don't know when it was built. My guess would be the 70s or 80s. I don't know, but she lived there with my uncle and my cousins in the 90s. You know, it's not necessarily the house that they grew up in. They were all probably in their teens when they moved into this house, I think. But we would go here for Christmas every year. And I remember watching the movie While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock here with my grandmother, and also Paper Moon with Tatum O'Neal. So those are just two movies that I always kind of warm my heart, I guess, when I think about them or when I rewatch them. And I watched those in this living room. So it was fun to try to reconstruct. But anyway, I guess the point is that these types of houses are a little bit older. So I felt like the kitchen, having that dated linoleum and like the wood cabinets and things, just kind of made it look a little bit 90s. I really, really would love to have a 90s stuff pack. I know that in The Sims 3 they did do the 80s, 90s, and now or something. Or no, that's that's the CD, I think. The 70s, 80s, and 90s stuff pack, I think. Which is cool, but I mean, I would just love to have a specific 90s. I mean, just imagine the furniture and the fashion and some of the other things. I mean, gosh, it would be just so nostalgic and really fun to play with. So I hope we get something like that in The Sims 4. Right now, it's kind of fun to strive for it with what we have. So anyway, that's why the kitchen looks so dated. And then the rest of the house is pretty updated with more current furniture and things. I kind of figure maybe the Sim that lives here bought the house and has renovated it like one room at a time. So the kitchen and the bathrooms are kind of still in need of some attention, as is the basement, which we'll see when we get there. But the rooms they spend most of their time living in are more comfortable and more updated. I did not do any limited pack builds here. I kind of gave myself the full catalog for all packs, and so I'm sure I probably end up using at least one thing from every single one of them at the end of the day, but yeah. And I wanted to find the right rug for this space too. That's not the one I ended up keeping, I don't think. I thought it was a little too loud. So I went through a lot of the swatches and just wanted to find something that would work. I like how the couch and the chair go really well together and have similar shades on them. So I mentioned that this house is loosely based on my grandma's from the 90s, and they ended up moving to another house after this one. So I couldn't even tell you how many years they were here. I mean, I would guess it was probably, I mean, you know, your concept of time as a kid too, it's it's so challenging. So, you know, in my head it's like, oh, they were there for like a decade, but it was probably like 4 years. So I don't know. I couldn't tell you how long they had that house, but they were there for a long time, and this living room is in the same place that theirs was, and then that dining room is kind of, it's not actually anything like theirs. They didn't have those huge floor-to-ceiling windows, and where those two side-by-side windows on the back wall are actually opened up into a like family room or a den or something, a little bit more casual, where as a kid, if I would stay over at grandma's, I was always camping out on the floor in that room. And for this build, I decided just to keep it as a rectangle, not to add that bump out on the back. And so I did not add that addition. And I'm pretty sure that that was an addition to the actual house. I don't think it was original. So I don't know. I mean, again, it's been a long time since they lived here, so I don't remember. But I think, to me, it just seems like that would have been some sort of an addition, and then they added a porch off of that. But in this build, I just added the porch off of the kitchen. And I'm pretty sure those chairs change. Yep, here we go. I know that I end up picking one chair that are green. It's these ones with the green swatch. And then I leave them as that. And then I come back later, probably like a week later when I finish this build, and change them back to this creamy beige. So I guess in the moment I liked the green, but then I ended up wanting to go back to the beige. So in all, I think this took me about 5.5 hours. At least that's how much footage I had. So I really needed to cut some things and decide what I wanted to showcase in the speed build to get it down to, a 30-minute-ish mark. So this will be a long video, and hopefully I have enough to talk about that's just not, annoying or boring for you. So, I guess, Happy New Year, like I said. Thank goodness we're in 2021. We have arrived. I am going on, I think I'm starting my 3rd week in my new home. So a week before Christmas, I did relocate. I moved to Eastern Oregon and started a new job. And so it has been busy. I have been working long days, and in fact, today I'm going to be working the overnight graveyard shift. I'm doing hotel night audit to cover for someone. So I wanted to try to get this edited and ready to go so I could post it before I had to start work tonight. So I have about an hour and 12 minutes before I have to start. So I'll probably finish this voiceover and then edit it during my shift because it'll be pretty quiet. I worked night audit last night too, so I spent the day sleeping, and it's pretty quiet, doing the overnight shift at a hotel. Sometimes it can be busy, but right now in the winter, it's pretty quiet, which I welcome. I can watch true crime YouTube videos, and, back when I was doing night audit as my actual job in my last position, I could play The Sims or read a book. Here, I'm still kind of learning this property and everything, so I'll probably be a bit more productive, but it is nice to have that quiet alone time. It's just kind of peaceful, because usually in a hotel, you go into a hotel shift, and it's going to be a wild ride for 8 hours with crazy things, and you can never predict it, and no 2 days will be the same. So night audit does kind of bring some structure and stability to the industry, and I appreciate that. So here I'm shifting into the master bedroom, and I just really went for these brown and cream tones, which is really my vibe. I love that. I'm very neutral. So it's just warm and cozy, not super bright. Honestly, at my grandma's house, this was probably the room I saw the least of. I don't know if they had a bathroom off of that room or not, but I had the room in the build, so I figured I'd do a master suite and then the hall bathroom for the other 2 rooms. While building this, I didn't have any specific Sims in mind either, so that's probably why I ended up kind of deviating toward my preferences for some of the spaces, because I didn't have any Sims in mind. And you can see what I mean, too, about those bathrooms probably needing some updating, like that pink one specifically. It's definitely the old 70s tile, and maybe the hall bathroom's been redone, but that one hadn't quite been gotten to yet. My brother and sister-in-law, who I was living with before I moved, found out that they are expecting, and they just did a gender reveal. Actually, on the 1st, we did a Zoom call where cousins and aunts and grandparents and everybody were able to get on, and they did the gender reveal. They opened a box to determine the balloons to see if it was going to be a baby Alistair or a baby Serena. And it is baby Serena Rose coming to us in July. So the family is growing, and it was just really nice. And even though I'm in another time zone now and not in the same state as the rest of my family, it was really great that I could be a part of that call with them. And it was just so it was such a special afternoon. I think the call was probably about an hour. We did some Christmas trivia. We played like Jeopardy for Christmas time while we were waiting for everybody to get into the Zoom call. And I won. Thank you very much. I mean, my birthday is Christmas, so I definitely am glad that I, came to task, I guess, and won that game. I don't think I've ever used that dark brown swatch of that rug. I don't really use that rug very often, actually, but in this particular build, it just worked. I kind of wish I'd used those big curtains and gotten rid of the little brown ones, but I never use those little brown ones either. Like, I whenever I can, I try to use things that I don't often use or I've never used, because I've got my go-to stuff, and it's kind of nice to change it up. So let's see, do I do that bathroom next? Okay. And, I really probably should have cut out some of this footage. I'm sorry, but it is kind of fun to see how it all comes together. I'm trying to think of anything else that I can share. I've just been spending my time working. Like I said, it's been long days, meeting the staff and learning all the departments and determining what the needs of the building are and everything. So I've been busy and haven't had a lot of time for myself. So it's nice to kind of unplug and watch this video again, because I haven't touched this build in a little while. And it's funny, I finished the build and then I uploaded it to the gallery and I realized I hadn't even play tested it yet. So I was like, whoops, I better go in and make sure, especially using those platforms. I was like, can you actually even climb the stairs? And so you can. I moved Tim Pancakes into the build, and he was able to climb the stairs and use the bathrooms and cook in the kitchen. I think that the two things I realized after uploading this to the gallery were that the stairs on the back porch were blocked, and I'll talk more about that when we get there. And I did forget to add a outside trash can, and also probably an interior trash can. I don't know if there's one right there. So I have an interior trash can, but I did not add an outside one. So that's something you'll want to do if you do download this from the gallery. It is available from my EAID, which is Toyd05, TOYDE05. So you can download it. And I think what I love about these types of homes is they're so spacious. The upstairs has 3-4 bedrooms, and then there's the basement level, which has tons of space. And so I have, I think it's kind of one of my dream homes. Like I probably, if I was to design or pick my dream home to move into, it would probably right now be one of those 4-square Craftsmans that I just built for Christmas. So the video before this one. But I also really love these split level homes, honestly. And a couple of years ago, my family did for my dad's birthday in January. So yeah, at this point it was probably 3 years ago or something like that. My siblings and I decided to do an Airbnb house rental, because our family is pretty big. There's 4 kids, so there was a family of 6. But now, my sister's married, has my niece, my brother's married. So the family's growing. And then, of course, if anyone's dating, there's just lots of people around the dinner table. And so no one really had a house at the time that was large enough to entertain everybody comfortably. And we've also, done I work in hotels professionally. So usually, we'd all go stay at a hotel together. But even then, we've got 3 or 4 rooms, and then we're just hanging out in the lobby. And so to have everybody spend the night under one roof, it's just something we hadn't done in years. And so my siblings and I, we did an Airbnb. We found a rental that had multiple bedrooms. And it was actually a split level house like this, but it had been completely modernized and renovated. So, I mean, it wasn't dated at all. The entire basement and top floor were furnished and had the same finishings. Like it was a complete house, and there were new modern fixtures and everything, and we loved it. A huge open concept kind of top floor, except for the bedrooms and bathroom and everything. But it was just a really special weekend, and we loved it. In fact, maybe I'll try to build that at some point, since this is a bit of a more dated version of that split level type of a house. But when I saw that updated version, I was like, gosh, this is what I want. Like, I want to get a split level home. I want to update it, and it can be the hub for holidays and family get-togethers. I think that's really what my dream is to have a home someday where I can be the host and have everybody over all the time for all those big events. And, so right now, of course, living a state away from everybody, that's not really practical, I guess. But someday, that's kind of the dream. And I guess the style of the home to me is less important than the size and functionality of it. So that's what I want someday. Maybe I'll try to build like my dream house in The Sims someday, but this one really came close though. It was fun to bring the split level type of a house to life. And so like I said, I have had a lot of versions of this house in real life that I've been to, and my aunt had one that my cousins grew up in, and same thing. You walk in, and you can either go downstairs to the basement or upstairs, and their house was a little bit different floor plan, where when you climb to the top of the stairs, you have the option of 2 bedrooms to the right, or there's the living room, and then there's a kitchen and a dining room. And then downstairs, there were 2 bedrooms. I think there was a bathroom down there. I think there was, but maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. I think they had a bathroom downstairs. But then the other half of it was like the garage and the laundry, and it was a little bit more unfinished. And so I kind of took that inspiration for this build for the basement. Because my grandma's house, the one that I went to as a child a lot, they only had this top floor. The bottom was a separate apartment. So I kind of thought about potentially turning this into like a 2 household or a 2 family household as well, where there could be like that mother-in-law suite in the basement or something. But I ended up using the top floor inspired from my grandma's house on my dad's side, and then the bottom floor inspired by my aunt's house on my mom's side. And yeah, I don't know. I just really like the size of these houses, I guess. But I've said that a lot. So here I'm working on I'm kicking stuff. Here I'm working on the kids' bedrooms. And so I just figured, this was like a little girl, like a child, and then the blue room was a teenage boy. So I usually don't do pink is for girls, blue is for boys, but in this build, I just kind of went with it. In fact, I think the other room is green and then has some blue accents, but like I said, I don't normally do that. It just kind of worked in this build. I think, again, because I didn't have a specific family in mind, so I just went for more cliche type decorations. So I'm just kind of taking it in, and you can see outside I had done the landscaping already, or a portion of it. Oh, and then I loved this. So I added these windows to the base of the platforms, and since that's in The Sims on the ground level, they don't actually go to anything. But then in the basement, which is underground in The Sims, I added the windows kind of directly under where they are upstairs, so it can be like, if you imagine it, that those are the same windows. And then I just added window treatments to these. So I kind of liked to do that, and I really cut a lot of the basement out. So it took me a long time to come up with the floor plan, and I ended up coming back later to add the furnishings to like this room. So I imagine this is like a guest bedroom, which is why I put that suitcase on the dresser there. And I tried to do like older mismatched furniture for that room because I kind of thought, maybe they don't have company all that often, but when they do, they put them in the basement. That again could also kind of be the mother-in-law suite where they come in and go downstairs, and there is a bathroom down here, and then there's that bedroom, and then there's a little room which I just kind of used as storage, so I threw a whole bunch of things in there. I figured, older furniture and boxes and some exercise equipment and some holiday stuff and just random things, maybe kid stuff that they've outgrown. I just kind of threw everything into that room. And then there's this room which is actually furnished, and then there's the laundry with the cement floors kind of at the base of the stairs. So that's what we're seeing right here. And then on the other side of the basement is another room that's just empty, and it has dingy carpet, and I threw on some like cobwebs and some peeling wallpaper, and I figured that's a room that they just haven't done anything with. You can kind of see it right here. So that room does stay empty. I don't think I put any furniture in there because I use that one little room as the storage. And it's just kind of like a dingy, dirty room that maybe, if the family grows and has a second child, maybe the teen or the older one or the older sister or something wants to move down to the basement, and that could be kind of fun to play through where they move down into that room and have to clear out the cobwebs and put some furniture down there and turn it into their own little teen suite or the teen apartment or something, and then, the guest rooms across the hall. I don't know, but that's what I did with this one. And this floor plan is not like any of the real houses that I've seen. It was inspired by my aunts in that there are 2 bedrooms and a bathroom down here, and then it's unfurnished in some areas, but their floor plan was different. And like I said, theirs included the garage, so I didn't do that in this build. I didn't put a garage in this house. And so let's see, I really tried to warm it up with that rug, and it's kind of a used looking rug, so I put that in there as well. Added a few cracks to this room because I figured that other room wouldn't be the only one that had cracks. I should kind of spread the love, I didn't realize it when I was doing the bathroom down here, but I used that same linoleum from the kitchen, so that kind of worked out, actually. Oh, and so now I am doing the back porch, and I had a hard time because I think I started with foundations, so I could use the that base for the foundation, and then just raise it to have a really tall porch. But the foundation didn't work because it would raise the foundation of the whole house, and so then I had to do platforms, and they are cement walls, and I couldn't just use wallpaper on them, and so then I had to build a wall around the platform and then use the wood paneling. So that's why it looks so terrible here. But it took me a long time to get that to work, and I added that stairway, which I already mentioned. It doesn't actually work because I put those little bushes underneath the stairs to try to block that one cement patch that shows. But once the Sims wouldn't go down the stairs, so I removed those little trees and it functions. So it's an eyesore. You could also just get rid of the stairs and only have a back deck, but I liked having that access to the backyard, and it was fun decorating this backyard and adding the hot tub and some bushes and things. So I am going to be wrapping up here and then cutting to screenshots. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this build. Again, it is available on the gallery if you'd like to download it. Hope you like the screenshots, and that's a stack.